So this is the new PDF form that we're unveiling for our IACUC protocol submissions. It should be really comprehensive, have everything in there that you need. If you have any questions along the way, please feel free to raise your hand or put it in the chat, and Ellie will let me know. And it's totally fine if you see something within the form as I'm going through it and you have a specific question about it. Don't hesitate to reach out and I'll answer it to the best of my abilities. So here we go. So this is just the first page of all the important information for you as the PI to give to us of your who's submitting it, the department, telephone numbers, contacts, pretty straightforward. We've got protocol information, whether it's new or renewal. If it is a renewal, make sure that you give us the original protocol number. Something I want to point out along the way is that we do have these text boxes. They look pretty small. You're not limited to the size of the text box. It does expand as you're typing. So if you do come in and it ends up being longer than it looks, it will pop up this scroll bar and you can keep typing with no issues at all. So we'll want the progress report if it is a renewal, the changes that you are anticipating to make, as well as any results that unanticipated results that you may have.
Oh, we have a question. Oh,
I already got it. Is that better?
Does that help, Dr. Dong?
Yes, thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Happy to help. This next page, we have our funding information. Is it associated with a grant? Yes or no? This includes any funding you have. It doesn't just have to be a grant. If it's departmental funding, you'll still want to fill this out. At this time, we have 2 boxes if you have more than 1 grant. If you end up having more than 2 grants or funding sources, you'll want to make a copy of this page and attach it with your submission. Unfortunately, at this time, you can't copy the page and keep it within the PDF. You'll have to send it to us separate, which if anybody has any questions or if runs into issues with that, you're always free to reach out to our office and we'll help you through it. Here we have personnel training. A little quirk that we had noticed with our last training program, we do have these links throughout the protocol for linking to our SOP, the personnel requirements. So I just want to bring this up for everybody. It will open up a second page for you. So if you have any questions as you're filling this out, there should be links there to assist you. And similar to this previous page, if you have more personnel on your protocol than boxes allowed, you'll again just make a copy of this page, fill it out, and attach it separately when you submit. So here we have the lay summary section, the USDA pain classifications, and we have sections for each different species that you're working with. Just as a note for the animal numbers, this will be for all 3 years. This isn't an annual times 3. This will all 3 years for your study. You'll want to put those animal numbers in here. Justification if you have classification E animals. Study rationale.
Scientific aims.
Rationale for animal numbers. As well as species rationale. Here we have our animal model section, which will have these drop-down tables. which has everything that we're currently equipped for at DLAM. If you end up having anything else, there is other, and just fill that out as needed. We have any wild or exotic species. And then for this section, will animals be purchased by UNT HSC approved vendor? If you're using a DLAM approved vendor, you can just click yes and move on. You don't have to elaborate who it is. If you're using a not a vendor that is not DLAM approved, that's when you'll add no and fill in who you'll be using and why. We have our documentation and literature search. Here we have a pretty good group of most of the sources that you'll be using. If you do want to use somebody outside of this table, feel free to click other and put your source in. Make sure to add date of search and then years covered. And then in this section, for our purposes, you'll have to separate the keywords by comma. So for instance, if you're doing that'll show as two separate keywords. If you leave the comma out, it shows it as just one keyword on our side. So please just make sure when you're filling this out to separate everything with a comma. So here we have the preferred housing location, as well as any special or any special housing or husbandry requirements. And then, as I said before, we have these links here that kind of give you some insight on what special care needs the animals might have. Which will pop up in another screen. And if you don't have any of these special needs, you just move on to the next section. And then this section will refer to our environmental enrichment program. A question that had come up previously of if you have specific types of enrichment for your protocol, what do you do in this section? You'll still select yes, but then you'll elaborate why the animals might only be allowed certain types of enrichment through the protocol. Here we have our animal use location section. Filling this out, this is only going to involve animals that are outside of DLAM. If you're doing your work within DLAM facilities, you don't need to worry about this. If you're moving your animals to another lab space outside of the vivarium, that's when you'll want to be using this page. And
Hey,
then I see
Jean,
we have
we've
a
got a
question.
question in the chat. Dr. Jameson asked, what if you have several different housing modifications?
You can fill out as much or as little as you need. So say if it's individual housing, we have these different reasons. If you need the alternative lighting, radiated feed, you can fill out as many of these checkboxes as you need. If there's something in there that isn't listed, you have the other box you can fill out, and then you'll want to give more details in this section 10A2 for your justification. Does that answer your question?
He said yes.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. So if you're housing animals outside of DLAM for greater than 12 hours, you'll want to be using this area. And then if you're moving animals to a different lab space, you want to put your justification here, as well as just the general animal transportation method that you'll be using. If you have food or water restriction for your study, you'll be filling out this area. This will include any surgeries that will require overnight fasting to be done. You'll want to fill out this form. Our restraint section.
We have another question. What if you are moving animal from one DLAM location to another, i.e. from RES to IREB?
I believe for that you will need, because that needs to be coordinated with DLAM, you will include that in the protocol. I know you're still using DLAM spaces, but because you're fully leaving the vivarium to go from one building to the other, you'll still want to fill that out so we're aware of it happening. So then we have fluid collection. Substance administration. This is something that I personally am really excited about on this form and will hopefully make things a lot easier. We have lots of space for you to put all the different substances that can be administered throughout your protocol. And once again, if for whatever reason we didn't put enough boxes in here for you, you can, again, copy this page and attach it separately when you submit your protocol. We have our non-pharmaceutical grade section and justification. If you're using hazardous agents on your protocol, our study and humane endpoints section, as well as our pain and distress section. Euthanasia. Then our surgical section. So within here, we've got the different selections you can make. If you're doing multiple different types of surgeries, both survival, multiple survival, terminal, you will want to select the check boxes for everything that you'll be doing within the scope of the protocol. And then you'll have these different boxes to add more information. And then here's going to be probably some of the biggest changes that we've made is our other procedures section. We've got, for the most part, a space for every different kind of procedure that you'll be encountering. If you're using tumor and biological materials, if you're doing breeding within your protocol, if you're using genetically modified animals. And then we have this nice new behavior table. We have added as many different behavior tests as we had on file. If you have anything else that we don't have here, you're once again free to put other, fill out what the test is. A little quirk with this table that I want to point out is we can't make this box bigger. So it does kind of cut off some of the different tests, but if you hover over it, it will give you the full name that's within the table. I know it's probably very small on my screen. I apologize. And then similar for our imaging table, you can use this drop-down menu to select all the different imaging procedures that we've already put in. If there's something in there that you don't see, you can put other, fill it out and give all the information that we need. You will want to include more description as well, though, because this table doesn't have everything that we need in it. So you will want to make sure that you fill out the table and then go into a little bit more depth about what will be done with the animals. And then here's the insurances page. You want to check through everything.
We have a question.
Oh, yes.
Can we submit items to be included in any of the drop-down boxes?
I would say at this point in time, you want to be just using the other. And then you're free to submit it to us. I don't know how often we'll be making updates to this form. But yeah, you can let us know and we'll take it into consideration as we're still working on, well, sorry. I understand we will definitely be coming across different things as people start using this form more and more. So if this is something that you're encountering a lot, you're always free to submit it in the IACUC and we'll take into consideration for future iterations of the form. But for the time being, just use the other and add in the information there. And so once you've completed the form, you'll just want to fill out the assurances, and then to submit it to us, you will save it, attach it to an email, send it to the IACUC email at iacuc@unthsc.edu. Make sure to use the subject line IACUC submission, new protocol, so we know what we're getting. And any additional attachments, we still want the flow chart, we still want a hazardous agent, we still want a hazardous agent consult. If you, for some reason, needed to add more funding sources, attach those, anything relevant, just make sure to attach it and send it our way. So that's kind of the quick run through of what the form looks like. If anyone has any more in-depth questions, please feel free to reach out, speak up, ask in the chat.
I'll just pop in really quick. Did everyone who asked questions, did those questions get answered to what you needed, or was there any follow-up? Okay.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, I guess if nobody has any further questions, we can wrap this up. And if you're going through the form and you encounter any questions, concerns, issues, we are always here. Please reach out and let us know, and we'll try our hardest to help you out and get it fixed.
All right, I'll go ahead and stop the recording.